I have to ask you about the Somalian fraud scheme happening in Minnesota right now. I want to read you a quote, okay, from Stephen Miller. The welfare fraud scam engulfing Minnesota's Somali community is the single greatest theft of taxpayer dollars through welfare fraud in American history. This is White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, who I'm sure everybody knows. Do you think we are actually going to see investigations? Do you think heads will roll from this fraud scheme, or is it going to be another thing that gets sort of shoved under the rug and people forget and the news cycle moves on?
No, I think this is going to be potentially transformative when it comes to migration. I feel like this is sort of like that analogy that Donald Trump always references, where the woman takes in the snake and then the snake bites her.
Yes.
And she's like, why did you bite me? I took you in, I took care of you. And the snake is like, I'm literally a snake. That's what I do. And I kind of feel like that's representative of welcoming people who were not vetting. And
Hmm.
this is exactly what happens. And so I think this is emblematic of a lot of what's going on when it comes to mass migration. And I think this is going to be a perfect analogy that Republicans can point to and say, why do we want more of this? And I also think Minnesotans are sort of known as the nicest people in the world, right? Like I remember you're too young for this link, but Garrison Keeler, I would listen to that growing up, and it was always about how Minnesotans are so nice and relaxed. I think this is going to radicalize some Minnesotans who
Hmm.
are like, wait, I'm just paying my taxes, doing my job, struggling to make ends meet. And lo and behold, I'm actually funding terrorism just by being a good citizen. I think that's going to absolutely radicalize some people. And I think there's other questions too about Ilhan Omar. Like, what did she know? When
Hmm.
did she know it? We know she was close with some people who were involved in the scam. Was she just clueless? Or was she
Hmm.
aware and not raising alarm bells? And one final thing that I'll add in all of this, the mainstream media has actually finally covered this after Chris Rufo broke the story. The New York Times wrote a bit about it. They haven't confirmed the terrorism link yet, but the only reason that this has been on any of the networks or gotten broader attention is because Donald Trump called Tim Walz a retard. And so the way that the mainstream media has been covering this is they backed into it by being like, isn't Donald Trump the worst? Like that is their angle for the story. And
Right.
then they're like, oh yes, and also Somalians stole billions of dollars. But Donald Trump is the worst. In one daily episode from the New York Times that I listened to about this, though, they did acknowledge, one of the reporters was like, yeah, I think some officials probably knew what was going on. But it was the height of BLM and they were really worried about being called racist.
Hmm. No, I think
That was
there
a
is
jaw
no
dropping.
way. There is no way Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, the leadership in Minnesota had no idea this is going on, right? You guys can play dumb. You can act like you did not know. There's some reporting that shows it could be in the billions. There was someone on TV over the weekend saying it could be close to $8 billion over this course of time. There's no way you don't know that's happening in your own state. I think there are probably files being destroyed right now, papers being burned, emails being
Yeah,
wiped. They are probably doing everything they can to obfuscate and hide the fact that this was going on. And I think it's going to hit California next. I think if we go look under the hood in states like
so
California,
true.
a lot of these blue states, you're going to see probably tens of billions of dollars of corruption, hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, don't you think we should go to California and some of these other places next and look?
Yeah, and I mean, you make such a great point. I mean, like, okay, their best defense is we're utterly incompetent and stupid and have no clue what's going on in our state. Like, that's not a good defense. Like, I
That's
don't know
me
if
when I get pulled over. If I get pulled over for speeding, I'm like, I
like
had no
that's not an
idea.
argument.
I was on the metric
Like,
system. What do you mean I'm going 90? What? Okay, go on.
I'm curious to get your thoughts. Like, do you think this could be pause and ultimately like push people to want to denaturalize and deport this huge Somalian population in Minnesota?
So, what I think, and I've been feeling this the last few days, and I wanted to bring it up today, I think if Republicans are smart, they can hone in on this story in Minnesota, branch it out to every other blue state, and ride it to the midterms. I think they can ride this to the midterms, and Republicans could screw this up, but if they're smart, because there's a lot in this story, right? There's corruption, there's immigration, there's mass migration from third world countries, there's crime, there are people who are upset their tax dollars are being wasted. I got a text from someone I haven't spoken to in years. transgender liberal person I went to school with at NYU in New York who now lives in California. I get a text from this person. It's
Like everyone
paragraphs.
at NYU, right?
Right, everyone. That doesn't narrow it down. But I get a text and I'm like, oh God, I've said something a little too right wing, too conservative. I open the text. I think I'm going to get lambasted by this person. It's 2 paragraphs about how people need to wake up. This fraud is pissing off this old friend of mine, how upset they are, how America needs to know, how people need to, support President Trump in rooting out this waste, fraud, and abuse and use common sense. And this isn't a partisan issue, that our tax dollars are going to these blue states and it's being funneled for terrorism. And I was reading this text going, oh my God, I would love to share this because this is not someone who has probably ever voted Republican or is conservative. And I think it can bring a lot of independents out in the midterms and some of these soft Democrats because they're tired of seeing their tax dollars wasted. And I think it also ties into, unfortunately, the shooting of the 2 National Guardsmen in DC, right? There was a whole story about the Afghan nationals that Biden flew here, and President Trump said, I'm banning third world migration. I think you can tie that in with Minnesota, the fraud, and branch it out and ride it till the midterms if Republicans are smart with the messaging.
You're so right. I feel like the way you're laying it out, you're like, there's something for everyone. There's crime.
There's crime. Yes. Everybody come out and vote. I mean, here's the thing. I worry about the midterms because you're not going to have President Trump on the ballot, right? Mm-hmm. As we just saw recently in some elections, people aren't just going to turn out, right? You really have to get them enthused and you got to get them turning out. It's not going to happen. You have to have compelling candidates. But I think there's something here for everybody because this has really united a lot of old school, like 90s Democrats, independents saying, I think everybody can agree we're fine deporting these Somalian criminals. Like, I don't think we're heartless. We're fine with it, right, Lydia? Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, I also think this is an important sort of issue for us right now because in the last year, Donald Trump has closed the southern border. And that was ultimately an issue that I think pushed him to victory because people were so fed up with just having the open borders that we did under Joe Biden. And so the question is, okay, great. Trump's done a really good job of securing the border. And in a way, it's like, is that going to backfire on us, right? Like, what is our issue going to be that's uniting Republicans? And I think to your point, it could be this, right? And I also think it's coming at an important time where I feel like the left is embracing socialism and pushing more and more government. And obviously in New York, we have Mamdani. And I think Democrats feel empowered at some level that they should have more and more power. And I think this is such a good instance to point to and say, really? The people who are like just sort of either oblivious or don't care that our tax dollars are getting sent to fund terrorism, you want these people to have even more power than they do now. So I think it hits basically everything that Democrats want to push and is a counter that Republicans can point to. I think it's a really important talking point that, again, is just, it's so clear cut. There's certain issues that I think like Republicans got really fired up about, but were really hard to sell like a year ago when Trump was talking about like the Haitian immigrants eating the cats and the dogs. I think that's definitely has happened. But as soon as you say that to a liberal, they're like, are you serious? Like, you sound like a lunatic. This is an issue that is so clear cut that, again, the New York Times is now reported on and confirmed. That's a really easy way to sort of engage people and say, yeah, we should be mad about this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's A, B, C, 1 + 1 = 3. Okay, you've got these Somalians. They're stealing money from hungry children, the elderly. They're routing it to terrorism. They're filling their own pockets. Ilhan Omar's net worth is going up by millions. I'm not saying it has to do with this Somalian fraud scheme, but it's dicey. It's worth looking into.
There's questions.
And then there are questions. We have questions. And then there's Tim Walz and his failed leadership, right? And I think it can just really bring together, okay, all of these Democrats who are actually fed up with the corruption and saying, you know what? We might actually give a Republican a chance. Or maybe we're going to sit out, right? If some Democrats sit out in the midterms, that can make a big difference too. Ever read the label on a typical bag of chips? It's often a science experiment of seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, and mystery ingredients. Masa is part of the growing movement to bring back real food. Masa's chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. Not only do these chips avoid the bad stuff, they also taste incredible too. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied, light, and energetic with no crash, bloat, or gross, sluggish feeling afterwards. You won't find yourself binging and feeling hungry. Personally, my favorite flavor of Masa is the original. If you love Masa, then you'll love Vandy Crisps. Vandy, Masa's sister company, makes the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips I've ever had. My favorite flavor is Smokehouse Barbecue. Ready to give masa or vandy a try? Use code LINK for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com, or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim the delicious offer. And if you don't feel like ordering online, masa and vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket, so stop by and pick up a couple of bags before they are gone.